Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole if you're new, and I love home cooking, and I've been trying to share that a lot more with you on this channel. So today, super excited because we are making tacos, which I love because they are like the easiest thing to make. But because Cinco de Mayo is around the corner, we're gonna make our most favorite tacos, which are birria tacos. And if you've been watching my Sunday dinner series lately, I've been trying to incorporate lower calorie ingredients, higher protein recipes, just because that's really been working for me these past couple of years. So I'm really excited about this one, and so is my husband because he loves birria tacos. So let's get started. I have my chilies out. Now, typically I would use a mixture of Pasilla chilies, they look like that, Guajillo and Ancho chilies, but on hand right now I only have Pasilla and some New Mexico chili pods, so I'm gonna do about 3 of each of those. And I have chile de árbol, so I'll also do 3 of these. So it'll switch up the flavor slightly than what I normally do when I make this recipe, but it's gonna be fine. I'm not gonna stress about the chilies because I know it'll taste so good. So now I have them on my board, and I'm just gonna work on cutting out the stems and de-seeding them before adding them into my pot here, because we are gonna be boiling these on the stove. Now, if you also love birria tacos, but you've never made it yourself, I highly recommend you do it because these taste so good for how simple these are to make. I think that I have probably shared them on my channel before, but probably in a short and not a full video. I can't remember. So it's high time anyway that I make these again. They have such great flavor. Now, also, I typically make my birria using beef chuck roast, but I don't have any of that on hand right now, so I'm just using what I already have in my freezer, which is pork shoulder. So, and it's not uncommon to make pork birria. So it'll be a nice little switch up. Now, it's not the like leanest cut of meat to make things lower calorie, which is fine, but I am going to be trimming off some of the fat and lowering the calories in some of the other ingredients like the tortillas and the cheese. So now that we have our chilies de-seeded and de-stemmed, I'm going to go ahead and boil them on the stove for about 10 minutes and then let them steep in that water, that hot water, an additional 10 minutes. Okay, so for my pork shoulder, this is Boston butt. I actually got a big one of these at Costco, and I had portioned them into about 4-inch sections in my freezer. So this is about 4-pound sections. So this one is about 4 pounds, and I'm gonna go ahead and trim off some of the fat here. You can see it has a good amount of marbling throughout, and this is actually bone-in as well. And there's a big fat layer here, which I'm also going to trim off. Now you can definitely use, like I said, a leaner cut of meat, but I don't want to go and buy anything. So I'm using everything that I have that's already on hand. Okay, I think that looks good. So I took a good amount off here to show you, but still left a little bit on. And I think that's good enough. Now for this, I'm just going to do a nice good layer of salt and pepper before we get it searing on our stove. Add my pepper. I don't think you really need to season the meat any more than salt and pepper because the chilies are gonna add so much flavor to it. So I have just a little bit of avocado heating up on my pan right now. So we're gonna go ahead and toss this in. Meat in. And we'll just go ahead and turn this every couple of minutes to make sure we get a good sear on all sides. You can see our chilies are boiling away, so just a few more minutes on these and we can cut the heat off. But they look good. Our chilies are steeping in the hot water, so let's go ahead and make up our little spice mix. I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of beef bouillon, and this is a sodium-free one. I debated on using chicken bouillon since I normally add the beef because I'm using chuck roast for this recipe instead of pork, but I decided to still keep it with the beef because I want a nice rich flavor. I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon of some oregano leaves. And I have some dried thyme. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon in my bowl. I have some ground cumin in here. I'm gonna do half a teaspoon. Now this one's optional. This is ground cinnamon, but I think that it adds good flavor in here, and you're only gonna add a small amount. So this is 1/4 of a teaspoon. And another 1/4 of a teaspoon of some ground allspice. And I'm gonna go in with some salt, probably about half a tablespoon, and a good amount of pepper. I also have some bay leaves. Well, these are kind of not whole anymore. Dry bay leaves, so I'm gonna try and get about 3, the equivalent of 3 whole ones in here. Okay, so we'll set this aside quickly. To add to our birria consomme with the chilies and our seasonings, I have 1 whole onion here. Well, almost 1 whole onion. This is what I have in my fridge, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it. This is just a regular yellow onion. Now I'm just going to simply cut this into chunks because it's going to go in the blender with everything. All right, and then I have just 1 regular red tomato. Same thing. I'm going to cut it into big chunks so we can add it. And then for this, you need maybe the equivalent of like a bulb of garlic. I have some of my peeled garlic here that I get from Costco. And I keep it in my freezer so that I can use it whenever I need it. So I'm just gonna do about a handful. I think that should do it. Now, to my blender, we are going to add those softened chilies from our stove. Make sure I get everything in here. And I'm gonna throw in the onion that we just cut up, the tomato, and all of our garlic. I also got our spice mixture, tossing that in. And I'm gonna add 2 cups of some water, and we're gonna blend this up. All right, this is what our beautiful birria consomme looks like so far. Now, very important, I have my slow cooker with my meat in. So, very important, you need to strain your mixture when adding it into your slow cooker. So I'll do a little bit at a time here and just kind of sieve it through. You'll see you'll get a really nice, like, beautiful sauce once this is done. Just like that, and you should get a good amount out of here. Okay, now I just poured about a cup of water into my strainer to help sieve out a little more of this mixture. You can see that's what it's looking like down at the bottom. Next, I'm gonna add in about 3 more cups of water to this. And I'm gonna get this in my slow cooker, cooking on high for the next 4 to 5 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and check it at 4 and see where we are. Okay, now that our meat is in the slow cooker, that is really the bulk of the work that we have to do. I told you these were so easy. It's such an easy dish to make. Now, to put together the quesabirria tacos, you need to have onions and cilantro. And my preferred onion in this one is purple onion, because they have a great raw flavor. So I'm just gonna work on finely chopping my onions. All right, and I have some fresh cilantro. So for mine, I've already washed and prepped this. I like to wash and I guess rinse my produce in a baking soda and water solution, like right when I get home from the store, so that it's already cleaned and prepped and ready to use when it comes time to cook. And for herbs like this, I just store them with a paper towel in a Ziploc bag, and they actually keep well for a good amount of time. So that's a little trick if you have trouble getting more life out of your produce before you're able to use it. All right, so I have a good bunch of my cilantro here. I'm just gonna give this a nice rough chop. And for my lime, you are gonna want a nice little squeeze of lime on these tacos, because the birria consomme itself is pretty rich to me. So having that little bit of citrus, lime, or even lemon, we typically use lime, is gonna help cut through some of that. So I'm just gonna cut mine into some wedges, and that is it. So simple prep for this. I love it. Now I'm just gonna store these in a container in my fridge until we're ready to get our tacos on the stove. Okay, now, really quick, let's go over what ingredients we are using to help better fit my nutrition goals. Now, if you have not used low-calorie tortillas before, this is the brand that I use for corn tortillas. This is the Mission 25-calorie yellow corn tortillas. So for these, 4 tortillas is a serving, which is 90 calories. Not bad. That's under 100 for 4 tacos versus a traditional corn tortilla. You're actually saving, I'm saving a good amount of calories here. To me, there's no difference in the taste. Maybe a difference in the thinness of the tortilla, which I don't mind. And then for my cheese, we don't have our video tacos without cheese, melting cheese. Mozzarella is the preferred one that I use. In order to keep calories lower and add more protein, I use fat-free cheese. Kraft sells fat-free mozzarella, so it is great value. So per serving, which is about 1/4 of a cup, that's a good amount for tacos. 45 calories, that is super low with 9 grams of protein. So simple swaps like this is really gonna count towards the overall calorie and protein count for our meal, and it's not going to sacrifice flavor. So that's a win. Okay, so it's been 4.5 hours. And about an hour ago, I just kind of moved the meat around and it already started coming off the bone. So I want to check it now again at 4.5 hours. And this is what it's looking like. There's the bone right there. Most of the meat is off of it now. So I can go ahead and remove this. Now I'm going to give this just a quick sample taste. So it's really good, but I do want it to work a bit more, maybe another half hour. So I'm going to leave it in here. I'm going to keep it on high, but I'm also going to add just a little more salt. I think it needs it. The flavor is good, but I just want to bump it up a little bit more. Give that a stir, and we'll give it, like I said, another half hour, and we'll come back and start assembling our tacos. Okay, now that our meat is looking good, almost ready to assemble tacos, I also am gonna make like a higher protein side of avocado. So I just have some avocado in my bowl here. This is maybe like a cup. And all I do to this is add some of my Greek yogurt in here, because this is gonna add some good protein for very little calories, and it just adds a nice creaminess to it. So I'm gonna add maybe about 1/4 of a cup. I know some people even add like sour cream to their avocado to add creaminess. I'm also gonna add just some salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic. Not a lot, just a pinch, just a tad. And I'm gonna take some of my fresh lime and squeeze that right in and give that a mix. What's great about avocados is that they have good healthy fats in there. I use a lot of avocado oil in my cooking as well, but no protein. So I try to add a little bit in there when I can, and it still tastes very good and very creamy. You can even add some onions, tomato, and cilantro in here to make it more of a guacamole, and just a small handful of cilantro. I'm gonna keep mine pretty simple today. All right, so let's go ahead and start assembling our tacos on the stove. Okay, so from my slow cooker, I went ahead and skimmed off some of the consomme at the top because it has a little bit of that oil on the top from the fat on the meat. So I will use that to dip my tortillas in. And I took out some of the meat here. I'm just gonna do like a small chop on this so that we can place it on our tortillas, just like that. And this meat is nice and tender, so it chops very easily, which is nice. That's how it looks. It tastes delicious. I'm gonna add a little bit of this to our meat, just to moisten. Now I am gonna add just a spray of my avocado oil on our pan, because I do want the tortillas to slightly fry a bit. I'm gonna dip it in our bowl, just like that. Add those down. Okay, once they get a slight crisp on this side, you turn them over. There we go. I'm gonna add my mozzarella. My pork and my onions and cilantro. All right, now let's try and close these up. And the cheese should be nice and melty. Kind of act as our glue there. Just like that. That's it. They'll get nice and crispy. I'm so glad we gave this video recipe a try with pork because it is just as delicious as using it with the beef. And I'm telling you, switching it out with a couple of low calorie and higher protein alternatives did not sacrifice any flavor. This consomme was so flavorful. I'll go ahead and drop the link for you down below of the recipe I used in case you're interested. And don't sleep on this high protein version of a guacamole. It is so creamy and you have to dip that taco in the consomme. I'm telling you, these tacos, 10 out of 10, you have to try it. If you like this one, make sure you give this video a thumbs up because that would really help out my channel. If you want to see more of my home cooking, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the videos I got coming out soon. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.